EA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Before the race began, there was a shocking announcement. Jeff Gorvette would be retiring at the end of the 2010 Piston Cup season. And here's what he said. Rick Chevrick tried to convince Jeff Gorvette not to retire, but Jeff Gorvette is ready for a new challenge, probably racing in a different racing league. And Rick Chevrick said this after he failed to convince Jeff Gorvette to not retire. Starting at pole position for the 34th race of 2010 is Lightning McQueen with Cal Weathers to his outside. Row 2 has Jeff Gorvette, who will be retiring soon, and Tony Gasworth to his outside. Row 3 has Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kevin Carvick, the car that's currently second in points. Row 4 has Carl Edwards and Kyle Buschtire, the mean yellow car. Row 5 has the 2003 Piston Cup champion Matt Karzeth and his former teammate Kurt Buschtire. Row 6 has Greg People and Ryan Newcar, the Rocket, to his outside. I wonder where he's going to finish. Row 7 has Brick Hicks, who's been underperforming, and Jeff Burton, the jumper. Row 8 has Mark Carton and Morey Clutchburn, two cars that have been around for a very long time. Row 9 has Todd Marcus, who actually was the fastest car in practice, and Jamie McCarry to his outside. Row 10 has Jamie McCarry's teammate Juan Pablo Montoya and Casey Corner to his outside. Row 11 has Bobby Swift and Brick Yardley. What are they doing back here? I wonder why. Row 12 has Jimmy Cables, who finished 5th last race, and Joey Lagirno, the mean orange car. Row 13 has Denny Carlin. What is he doing back here? And Martin Carrix Jr. to his outside. Row 14 is Mike Yankee Jr. and Clint Bokar, starting to his outside. I wonder where they're going to finish. Row 15 is Phil Tankson, who is currently 20th in points, and Brad Karslowski to his outside. Row 16 has the David and David show once again, with David Rudikar and David Raycar in the same row. Row 17 is Jack DePost and Rex Revler, who have both missed races this season. Row 18 has Doug Throttleman, the other jumping car, and T.G. Castlenut to his outside. Row 19 has Speedy Comet. Hopefully he's going to be speedy, and Chip Gearings to his outside. Row 20 has Darren Ledfoot, who actually leads laps, and Bobby Carboni to his outside. Row 21 has Ernie Gearson and Robert Turner? How did he qualify? And starting in 43rd, once again, is Reb Meeker, who once won a race from this position in the second division. These 7 cars, among many others, unfortunately failed to qualify for this race. Lightning McQueen would lead for the first 7 laps of the race before Robert Turner would be out on lap 7 because of an engine failure. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead shortly before the engine failure of Robert Turner and lead for the next 3 laps before Lightning McQueen would once again take the lead. And he would lead for 66 laps? How does any car lead for 66 laps? And then Jeff Gorvette would take the lead on lap 76 and lead for just 1 lap before Darren Ledfoot would take the lead from him. He would lead for 2 laps before Cal Weathers would take the lead from him. He would lead until lap 102. But on lap 102, Joey Lagirno would be 20th as of that lap, and then he'd wreck. Who does he wreck? Doug Throttleman again? Why? Lightning McQueen would take the lead after the restart and lead for 105 laps? How does any car lead for 105 laps in a row? Wouldn't his fuel tank be exhausted? How, Lightning McQueen? How do you lead 105 laps without losing the lead? Finally, on lap 208, Tony Gasworth would take the lead, but 4 laps later, Lightning McQueen would be back in the lead and lead for another 48 laps before Kevin Carvick would take the lead from him. He would lead for 8 laps before Lightning McQueen is once again back in the lead. But he would only lead for 3 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading for 2 laps before, of course, Lightning McQueen retakes the lead. He would lead all the way until lap 299 before Kyle Buschtire would take the lead for himself and lead for the next 11 laps before, of course, Lightning McQueen retakes the lead. He would lead the next 30 laps. Kevin Carvick also said this because he thinks the season has become too boring, and Richard Chilpaints says this in response. But Kevin Carvick has brought up the idea of teaming. and Cal Weathers thinks it's a good idea. But someone disagrees. It is the King, who says that racing is an individual sport. But Cal Weathers talked about Lightning McQueen's points advantage. And then Kevin Harvick would take the lead with 10 to go and take the checkered flag to win the 2010 Dinoco Light 350. Kyle Busch would finish second this race, Jeff Gorvette third, Cal Weathers fourth, and Phil Tankson rounding out the top five. Lightning McQueen, despite leading the vast majority of laps, was unable to finish in the top five, instead finishing sixth, just ahead of Moray Clutchburn and Kurt Busch. Carl Edwards and Darren Ledfoot would round out the top 10. Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually finishes in the top half this race, ahead of Mark Carton and Bobby Swift. Despite his nickname being the Rocket, Ryan Newcar finished mid-pack in 20th. Jimmy Cables would be the car missing out on the top 20, finishing 21st. And Ernie Gearson finished on the lead lap, meaning he was not too tired today. Hooray! Actually, quite a lot of cars finished on the lead lap. The last car to finish on the lead lap is Chip Gearings, who finished 41st! That means only 2 cars were not on the track on the last lap. Hopefully all 43 cars would be able to finish on the lead lap if there were no mean cars. And here is the top 20 in points, where Lightning McQueen is still over 800 points ahead of Kevin Harvick, despite the fact that Kevin Harvick won the race. And of course, Kurt Busch, don't say bad words! And Matt Kenseth leads some laps! And Kyle Busch, stop wrecking other cars!
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
And also, Phil Tankson traded places with Jamie McCarry, with Phil Tankson moving up to 19th in points. I wonder how well Phil Tankson will do at the end of the season, as Phil Tankson is essentially the new Manny Flywheel, well liked by many Piston Cup fans. And unlike Manny Flywheel, Phil Tankson qualifies every race! Hooray! The next Piston Cup video, the 35th race of the 2010 Piston Cup season, will be coming out very soon. Something that should be happening sooner than the release of my next YouTube video is the end of the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom, as well as have access to electricity, so that they're not living in the dark and in the cold. But who stands in the way of the Ukrainian people being able to access these basic resources? The tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who is not just bullying Ukrainians, he is also bullying Russians to fight in this unjustified war. Why is there this unjustified war? Vladimir Putin, you already have enough land of your own! And we at the hashtag K-Bullet YouTube channel will continue to stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny and occupation of rightful Ukrainian territory. Slava Ukrainie! Heroyam slava! Nechai Svitya Darytsya Ukrainie Permoha!